Shinshin World View, know about the world together. The war between Russia and Ukraine has been going on for more than 3 months. In addition to the fierce battle between Russia and Ukraine on the battlefield, the struggle between the West and Russia in the financial, political and diplomatic fields has also been intensifying. The Western countries, led by the United States, have imposed several rounds of all-round, non-discriminatory sanctions on Russia in the energy, food and social sectors. These sanctions have had a significant impact on Russia's national economy. On the 21st of February, Russian President Vladimir Putin declared the independence of the Donetsk People's Republic and the Luhansk People's Republic in the east of Ukraine and sent troops into the two regions. According to data from sanctions tracking platform Castellum AI, Russia has been hit with 2,778 sanctions in the past 2 weeks alone as of March 7, which is more than the total number of sanctions imposed in the past 8 years. Add to the 2,754 sanctions which Russia has received totally for announcing the retraction of the Crimean Peninsula. Russia's sanctions reached 5,532, of which 1,194 were issued by the US alone. On the 26th of February, the United States and other Western countries issued a joint statement excluding some Russian banks from the Society for Worldwide SWIFT payment system, and in the following days announced a succession of asset freezes, bans on transactions and other restrictive measures against the Russian central bank. On the 15th of March, the Japanese government announced an in-principle ban to Russia on the export of some 300 items and technologies, including semiconductors. On the 24th of March, the G7 and the EU announced that they would continue to restrict the Russian central bank's ability to deploy international reserves and to include gold transactions related to the Russian central bank in the scope of existing sanctions. Every day, new countries and companies and groups join the ranks of those imposing sanctions on Russia. Despite the fact that Russia has long been subject to Western sanctions since the Crimean War in 2014, and has even become accustomed to them domestically, this wheeling and dealing of harsh sanctions by Western countries has still dealt a huge blow to the Russian national economy. According to data from the Russian Ministry of Economic Development and the Federal State Statistics Service, the consumer price index had risen by 17.6% by the 15th of April, reaching the highest level of inflation in Russia since February 2002. With the war lasting just 50 days, domestic prices in Russia have risen more than they did in the whole of last year, with the price increases for food products being particularly worrying. The price of chicken has risen by 15.1%, beef by 24% and rice and buckwheat by 31.7% and 43.3% respectively. Sugar is 69.9% more expensive than a year ago. Tea, salt, milk, butter and vermicelli have increased by 26%, onion prices rose by 62.9%, potatoes by 40.5%, carrots by 47.4% and cabbage by 267.1%. Russian President's economic assistant Maxim Orshkin said that deliveries of imported goods from Western countries to Russia fell sharply in March and that Russia's maritime trade with the EU was almost completely paralyzed. According to Delo management, 14 of the 20 largest container routes refused to cooperate with the Russian Federation, with individual regions experiencing a drop in traffic of up to 95%. Following Russia's invasion of Ukraine on the 24th of February this year, the U.S. Department of Commerce issued a comprehensive policy of restricting exports to Russia of high-tech products including all types of chips, communications equipment, lasers, electronic equipment for aircraft and maritime technology. Since then, U.S. exports of technology products to Russia have fallen to 70%, with exports down 85% compared to the same period in 2021. Since late February, the world's largest semiconductor companies, South Korea's Samsung, Taiwan's TSMC and other major chip companies have discontinued supplying products to Russia. According to Ukrainian intelligence, the Russian military industry has been hit hard by the shortage of parts, and the Uralvagon Zavod and Chelyabinsk tractor factories have stopped production. Due to EU sanctions, German suppliers are not supplying missile components and electronic components. The Russian Ulyanovsk mechanical plant has suspended production of anti-aircraft missile systems, and Ukrainian intelligence has even discovered from Russian military supplies scattered on the ground that the inside of much of the ordnance is full of appliance chips taken from dishwashers and refrigerators. In the automotive sector, the Association of European Business, AEB, data showed that new car sales fell by 80% year-on-year in April as imports of cars and parts were halted. It fell to 32,706 units. A survey by Yale University in the US showed that more than 1,000 companies have used the Russian-Ukrainian conflict as an opportunity to restructure their Russian operations. Russia's power generation growth slowed to 3.1% as of April 2022 and 2.2% as of May 17. Russia's livelihood sector has also taken a huge hit. Russia is the world's #1 exporter of wheat and the world's second largest exporter of grain, with production remaining at almost 130 million tons per year, while total exports reach 50 million tons, and it is also the world's largest exporter of fertilizer. But the shortcomings of the Russian agricultural sector are still evident. Russia's seed industry is controlled by the West. The world's largest seed company Germany's Bayer Group sanctions Russia. Russia's corn seed imports about 60%, rapeseed is 88%, sugar beet and even up to 100%. In addition to this, there are a number of crops such as potatoes, once the supply is cut off in the future, may not even be able to sow. The USADM and Cargill, among the world's 4 largest grain merchants, have also previously stated that they want to scale back non-essential activities in Russia, including stopping investments in Russia. Prices of canned foodstuffs in Russia have also risen sharply due to a shortage of the raw material for canning, tinplate. There have even been cases where the price of the food inside the cans is cheaper than the packaging. There is also a dramatic shortage of medicines in pharmacies in Moscow and other cities. Economists argue, when inflation is measured in tens of percent, the main blow falls on the poor, whose incomes depend on their employers and who are inelastic to rising prices, food. And food tends to be the part of the commodity that has gone up in price more, so food will be a bigger part of their spending. Experts expect a pattern of material shortages to become more widespread in Russia and a significant decline in the population's consumption levels in general. After 3 months of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, there are growing calls for Russia and Ukraine to end the dispute through negotiations. After meeting with Austrian President van der Bellen in Vienna, UN Secretary-General Guterres said the Russia-Ukraine conflict must stop. Pope Francis has also expressed a desire to go to Moscow first and then to Kyiv to mediate. Some government officials in Western countries have also expressed their desire to keep sanctions against Russia under control. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said on 18 local time that the U.S. has no legal authority to confiscate the assets of the Russian central bank. The softening of the U.S. stance gives a hope for a resolution of the crisis. If you have a new perspective, feel free to leave a comment for discussion. Welcome to subscribe and like it.